Daly today, who is out. Let's keep him in our prayers if you believe in that. He is out this evening because of medical reasons, but the business of the board continues. There is no chairperson's report today, but there are two items that Mr. Daly has asked that I let the community know and the board members to know. First of all, we want to thank Ms. Burlot Antwine and the Parks and Beautification Committee for a beautiful event that they put on last Friday. It was well attended, and we also want to thank the elected officials who were present, Councilmember Farrah Lewis, Assemblymember Chandler Waterman. We also want to thank the God Squad and Elite Learners and all of the partners who partnered with us for that event. So, Ms. Antoine, we want to say thank you and congrats on a beautiful event. Let's give her a round of applause because it was a beautiful event. Check, check. Check, 1, 2. Yes, this is better. And then the second announcement to the board, as many of you know, we have been in the process of interviewing candidates for our new ADM position. So we want to let board members know that you should be looking out early in the new year for notification regarding a special or an emergency meeting where we will come together to select the candidate at that point. In the committee reports, I will be calling on Ms. Graham and Ms. Antoine to update the board and the community on those two happenings. But those are the only two reports from my end. I will be calling Ms. Frazier next, who will be presenting the district manager's report.
Thank you so much, our first vice chair. And of course, our prayers go out to Mr. Daly, the chair of the board, for a speedy recovery. We do miss him when he's not in attendance at our regularly scheduled meetings. Good evening again to everyone. Thank you so much for braving this weather to join us tonight. I do not have much to report. It's cold outside, and so many people have already called out. So I don't want to stand between you and getting home to your family. Mr. Cunningham gave an update. Yes, I did participate in the interviewing process, and I know Ms. Graham is going to come and give you a full report on how that is going. From my end, I am happy that I was given an opportunity to really participate in the process. We have some wonderful candidates, and we look forward to, I look forward to, not we, me, I look forward to getting some assistance in the office very soon. As you know, one staff retired over 3 years ago. That position is still vacant. Another staff retired this year, 3 months ago. Her position is open, vacant, and then we have one other staff in the office and myself. But I have been carrying the load of CB17 for, I would say, almost 4 years. We are entering the 4th year. So I really look forward to having an assistant district manager in the office with me so that we could move the work of the board and the community at large. We could move the work forward. The update, we have not received any we have no new information regarding our relocation. As you know, we had a terrible leak in our office, and we have been preparing for the past 2 years to relocate. We do have a location now, thanks to the new administration that came in and looked at the location, the prior location, and made a decision that it wasn't suitable for the board. And now we are looking to move into this location, 1107 Rogers Avenue. Hopefully, I would say by next month. We already signed the contract. The board signed the contract. We're waiting for the landlord to sign off, and then they're going to start the build out, which would probably take us another couple of months. So I am looking forward to that because the office is really congested with all the boxes and everything packed up there. Congratulations. Yes, Parks and Beautification did a fantastic job. We had some setbacks, but I commend them for the work. We had really a great turnout. The kids came and had a wonderful time with their parents. So thank you, Parks and Beautification Chair, Ms. Burlott, and your committee members for putting on such a great show. Let me wish each and every one of you here and those within the sound of my voice, virtually, warmest wishes for a joyful holiday season and a new year filled with peace and happiness. Thank you all for taking time out of your schedule to be here to serve our community. You are appreciated. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Frazier. And we are going to move the meeting along, and the next on the agenda is our committee reports. We will not be, as we stated in the last meeting, committees will not be presenting reports. We are expecting those to be presented in writing that will be disseminated to the general board. However, in this moment, I'm going to welcome Ms. Antoine, and followed by her, we'll be welcoming Ms. Graham, who will also present an update on the interview process. So first, Ms. Antoine, and then Ms. Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Good evening, all. Thanks to those who came to our beautiful party. I have some board members here who really assisted me. Mr. Tate as being the center helper in crowd control. I have Mr. Westcott as being the filmmaker. Thanks all for coming, and thanks for Community Board 17 for giving me this opportunity to, be the chair for such a great committee. Our next meeting will be on the second Tuesday of January, which will be January 2nd. We are not having any break. What I would like for our community is for please to give us a list of any parts where you see anything that need to be cleaned up, because we will be moving with the park cleanup. We did children playground, party gate a couple of times, so now we want to move to other parks. Please, parks is good for your health. You have to use them. To use them, they need to be clean and beautiful. If there's anything you like to let us know, please. I will be sitting in the back, and I have here Mr. Tate is here, Mr. Wascott is here, Ms. Fraser is here, and other committee board members. They can also take information for our committee. Thank you. Remember, parks is health. You need your park to be clean and well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, Ms. Graham.
Good evening, everyone. I am Ms. Graham, the Chair of the Personnel Committee, and I'm sharing some updates as it pertains to the interview process. So we have interviewed 5 candidates, and that was the level 1 phase of the interviews, and I must say they were amazing candidates. And 3 of the 5 will be invited to participate in the next round of the interviews, which what it will look like is the candidates will be given a task, and they will perform this task. They will be rated not only on the task, but based on the posting that was put out for the candidates. And we will present the candidates to the board. And very soon, we will have our own assistant district manager, so we can get the board of the business of the board up and running. All right, so we will keep you posted. District Manager Frazier will be sending out the level 2 of the interviews. All the candidates they know that that is part of the process. So I'm sure they're looking forward to that piece because, as I shared, all of them were great candidates. So may the best person. So we're going to have a assistant district manager shortly. And on behalf of myself and the personnel committee, we just want to wish you a happy holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Graham. We are going to move our meeting along. The next section is agency report. So we are going to call our agencies who are present here to stand if you have a report. Library is here, so please stand, come to the side. They're the only ones here, and please take the stage.
So, good evening, everybody. I'm Stephanie Sin, the manager at the Rugby branch, and
Hi, I'm John Huth. I'm the manager at the East Flatbush branch.
so I guess we want to just talk a little bit about the mid-year budget cuts. If you're not aware, libraries received a 5% cut this past November from our current year's budget. So we've had to cut Sunday service and cut our collections spending. And we are also facing a potential another 5% cut in January, but we won't know until then. Anything to add with that?
Yeah, and so very quickly, we just wanted to let you all know that the best way that you can help and support the library is by coming in. Come in because we're still offering programs. We've made every effort to not cut the actual services aside of cutting that one Sunday service. So the more you come in, the more that people see that the library is needed. So thank you super a lot. And we have some program flyers in the back. We're still serving children and everybody's welcome to come in. Thank you so much.
Thank you and happy holidays. Happy New Year.
Thank you, thank you. Are there any questions for the library while we have them here? Seeing none, we are going to move on. And at this time, we are going to open community session. Community session is a time where non-board members are able to speak, bring any issues or make any announcements that you have to the public, to the board. If you're online, we are also welcoming you to speak as well. So the community session is now open. If you are interested in speaking, can you raise your hand? Come to the mic, come to the mic. And, excuse me? Yes. If is anyone else interested in speaking, please, yes, please. Come to the mic. If you're online, raise your hand. I see your hand online. All right, so I see you. All right. So only 3 individuals. All right.
My name is Cassandra. Can you hear me? Oh, okay, yeah. Good evening, everybody. Guys, evening. My name is Cassandra Jean Baptiste. I heard about the community board meeting, 17, from a friend that, to attend if you have any issues or to see what's going on in the community. I'm a part of my tenant association meeting in my building. We live on St. Paul's. Well, I live in St. Paul's, nobody's here but me. And the current issue that's happening is the, sorry for my voice is going in and out, but the current issue is the smoke shops that's opening up more than, like, it's a whole bunch of them. And on the corner of Church Avenue and St. Paul's, it's 24 hours open. It wasn't there before. And we have about 3 of them. in a 2-block radius. And that one is the particularly a problem because the children, students from, I'm not sure where they're coming from, I can only guess, but they're coming from early before they go to school to come in by and then smoke in the buildings. And so it's becoming a big problem. I've called 301, we call property management, we call management on board, we call 911, the cops come. It's really a hindrance for us. And I don't know, somebody told me to come, I think one of the cops told me to come to the community board meeting to voice this. Not just me, it's 4 buildings is on St. Paul's that's dealing with this every day, 3 times a day. They come before 7:30 in the morning, they come at 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon and 5 o'clock. It's also inviting other people, like not just students, to come in and violate our private space, if that makes sense. So we don't feel safe. You know, sometimes I'm not blaming anybody. Sometimes packages are left on the outside. We don't know these people. They're coming and they leave when you ask them to, but they don't. But the main problem is the shops. I see 3 of them. I don't think all of them are licensed, and I don't know how they just popping up in the community like that. So I just wanted to voice that opinion on the behalf of my whole entire block.
Well, thank you. I'm going to allow Ms. Prasad to respond, but you could remain. But I want to say your concerns are valid, and I'm sure we've been hearing a lot of these concerns in the community. Ms. Frazier is noting your complaint as well, but I'll give Ms. Prasad a moment to respond.
Good evening. I chair the Commerce Committee, which deals with cannabis, legal, well, not smoke shop, but cannabis retail establishment. This is a problem we have in the community because smoke shops are operating under the fact that they have legal stuff that they're selling that doesn't require a cannabis license. So they can open anywhere. We can't stop them. Only if they're selling weed or cannabis and they don't have a license, then we can do enforcement. So that's the thin line that they're getting away with. We get this complaint all the time at the commerce meeting. We inform the police of the location and they would try to do enforcement. But that's as much as we can do because of the thin line between the legal stuff and the illegal aspect of the smoke shop. I'm sorry I can't be of more help, but that's all I have for you.
I have one more question. Is that okay?
I'm sorry?
So I have a question. I don't know.
Sure.
I'm here. So, so most of these smoke shops, I don't know about this one. I heard they're not really licensed. So I just wanted to know if that's an issue that can be addressed. Where do I address that issue exactly? Because they told me to come to this meeting. I know what you said,
Right.
and I get it. But I mean, it's
So the only way we can remove the illegal establishment is if they have legal establishment, and then the illegal one cannot be within 1,000 feet of the legal establishment. We had like 3 applications that came before the board, but only one actually came before the committee. I think they're supposed to be here tonight. I'm not sure if they are. So we haven't passed any or approved any legal cannabis application in CB 17 area.
okay. That's all.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I want to say thank you again. I think because we have our elected officials and our agencies in the room and Ms. Frazier's taking note, your concern is recorded and noted, and so it's heard. And so thank you. I'm going to, we only have 12 minutes on this. Do you have a question pertaining to this particularly?
I've spoken with my landlord, and there's an apartment in my building right on my floor that they're smoking weed, and it comes into the common area, which when I open my door comes into my apartment, and I have a problem breathing. I've sent a notarized letter to the landlord. I've called 311. And I'm told that it's legal, and as long as it's legal, there's nothing can be done. But the law states, if I'm not mistaken, if it's coming into the common area, then there should be something that can be done about this here. Because I'm waking up and I can barely breathe night and day. So I would like to know what this committee can do about this, because I'm pretty sure, and I'm a cancer survivor for 7 years now, and I have all kinds of other ailments. So I want to know, because 311 keeps telling me there's nothing they can do. This one is telling me, the landlord is telling me that it's legal. But it's a common area, which becomes secondhand smoke. And I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only one that has this issue. And I would like to know what can be done, if possible, anything.
Thank you. I'm going to charge the housing committee because you've stated a housing issue, also with the commerce committee, and maybe we all can come together to come up with something that we can put forward to the city. But again, housing committee, Ms. Frazier has noted the complaint. That's at this point, this is all we can do. We're going to note all of these complaints and then see how we can escalate a lot of these matters later on. Sir, you had Mr. Tate.
Thank you. Well, they're not here yet, but if they do come.
Good evening, everyone. May I recommend to him,
Mhm.
in case the police department don't come tonight, because they are having an award tonight, to go tomorrow night at the precinct, they're having the community council meeting at 7:30 PM on the second floor. That, yeah, at Snyder Avenue between 7:30. Yeah, you'll have just about every cop in there. You'll be able to have more one-on-one with the police if you come tomorrow night. Okay, they hold a meeting. Yes, but, yes.
And so,
Yes, but you're looking for help, they might be able to get one-on-one with you and give you more information, or maybe they could help you. Can't guarantee it.
all right, thank you, Mr. Tate. I would also say that the police should be here tonight. So again, let's liaise with them a little bit later on when they come into the room. Sir?
My name is Donald Mary. I thought I was a member, but just to find out that I'm just a visitor. Because the last time I was at the District 17 board, it was at Albany and Farragut. And then all of a sudden we lost that building. And I didn't know that we had another building. And you know, Mr. Westcott is my church brother. And the last time we know, he was the chairperson for the board. So he told me that this is where the board meeting and keep it. So, you know, that's a long time, right? So I just come to find out if I'm still on the, she just told me that now I'm a visitor. I'm not a board member of the board.
Yes. If you haven't reported to the board or re-upped your application, that cycle is about 2 years.
Yeah.
More than likely, you are not a member, and you are not a member. But if you are interested in joining the board, the applications are now open, Ms. Stevens. They're now open, and you could put in an application that way. So if you're interested in joining the board, or anyone is interested in joining Community Board 17 or any boards across New York City, you can go online to the bar president office and submit your application.
So there's an application up there.
It's
At the
online.
back.
It's online.
Okay. So I'll get the application and write it up because I want to be a member again, all right?
Thank you. I see three hands online. I'm gonna allow one because we are out of time. So Ms. Martinez, I saw your hand first, and so I will allow you.
Yes, good evening. My name is Hazel Martinez. My question is, what is the board and the precinct doing? What are they doing about all these mobile homes that are filling up all of the streets, especially down on Clarendon Road and on Avenue D? And now the one on Avenue D had to move, and he is now outside of the PS 235 annex on East 58th Street. He has two trailers, and I just find that's unsafe in front of a school, in addition to being too wide for that narrow street where school buses have to turn. And especially given the fact that someone was found deceased today in one of these trailers on Cortelyou Road. And we've had one guy there for 7 years.
All right, thank you. We do not have our housing chair here, but Ms. Frazier has noted the report. Thank you, Ms. Frazier. Ms. Martinez, you may not have heard Ms. Frazier, but she said that she will follow up with the precinct. She's already submitted the complaint to the precinct and will follow up with them to get the update on what they're doing about it. All right, thank you. We're closing community session at this point. We have exhausted the time allotted to community session. So Ms. Douglas and Ms. Cook, we see your hand. We do welcome you to our next board meeting to raise the concerns that you do have, or you can call the office to state or raise your concerns.
Excuse me, this is Ms. Cook. This happens every month. The time is too short for a community board for a community to voice their opinions. However, I will respect you because you tell me to come back next month. I may not live to see tomorrow. However, it's very short. The community itself cannot come to a community board meeting and don't have time to speak.
Thank you, Ms. Cook. Ms. Cook, you will be first on next month's meeting to speak and raise your concerns.
I may not live to see next month, but I will send it in writing.
All right, thank you. We are moving on to the next on the agenda is the roll call. Ms. Thomas.
Okay. Kwame Afre is excused. Brandon Alfonso? Brandon Alfonso?
Here.
It's online, but we don't.
Oh, no. Okay, so that's absent. I'm sorry, Mr. Alfonso, but that's unfortunately, if you're not in person, you're considered absent. Tiffany Anderson? Berlard Antoine? Mr. Bakardine is excused. Barrington Barrett? Barrington Barrett? Celia Belen? Teresa Brereton? Teresa Brereton? Louis Brown? Louis Brown? Asher Cunningham? Roger Daly is excused. Hermina Daniels? Kayla Drageen? Kayla Drageen? Natasha Duncan? Natasha Duncan? Natalie Ferguson? Natalie Ferguson. Pearline Fields. Pearline Fields. Allison French Kenton. Allison French Kenton. Charles Galbraith. Charles Galbraith. David Halon. David Halon. Michael Hill. Michael Hill. Julia James. Rhonda Joseph. Rhonda Joseph. Emerson Lazalari. Emerson Lazalari. Trisha Lewison. Trisha Lewison. Brandon Matherin. Edith Mark. Daniel McCabe. Austin Najla, or Najla Austin. Nyla Austin. Khadijah Oluwo. Oni Montserrat. Montserrat Oni. Okay. Rodney Pepe Souvenir. She's absent, okay. June Prasad. Dr. Carol Renault. Aaron Roth. Aaron Roth. Antoinette Smart. Antoinette Smart, okay. Kamara Swaby. Simone Sylvester. Simone Sylvester. George Tate. Tamara Thomas is present. Heslat Tursun. Heslat Tursun. Jessica Welch. Jessica Welch. Ivor Wood. Ivor Wood. Kendrick Westcott. Did I miss anyone's name who's a board member? Oh, I think I skipped over you because I marked you present already. I'm sorry. And the same goes for Rose. Natasha Duncan. Anyone else whose name I missed? Nope, okay.
So while Ms. Thomas count to see if we have quorum, I just want to remind everyone that if we are unable to reach quorum tonight, we would be unable to vote on any items that are supposed to be presented for voting tonight. And we have two SLA applications, a cannabis application, and also we will be unable to approve the minutes. Hence why it is important for board members to be present in person, because that is the only way for you to be counted as present and a voted member of the body at that meeting. So we are currently at 19, possibly 20, and our quorum is 26, so we are 6 individuals short from meeting quorum. If you know anyone who may be close by, you can call them before the night ends so we can at least vote on some of the items that have been presented to the board this evening. So I'm going to skip over.
Can you say your name for the? Simone Sylvester. Thank you.
Yeah. So we're at 20 currently. So I'm going to skip over and I'm going to move the meeting to, well, I'm going to call up the police, the 67th precinct, to give their report. And hopefully by then we have a few more individuals who will come in so we can meet that 26 number quota.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, board, for having us. I would like to first off say happy holidays and a happy new year. Wish everybody a happy new year. Thank you. I want to end this, I want to start this by saying, it's been a phenomenal year when we look at everything we've done in the 6-7 precinct, but a lot of it, and I want to thank everyone in the crowd here, as well as overall community 6-7, because that success would not happen without the community. So I just want to highlight that. I'll go into quick stats. We're down 6% year to date, over 130 crimes. We're down 5 of the 7 majors. We're down 7 shootings. We've made over 175 gun arrests. That's over 135 guns taken off the street. And that's a collaboration of the community and the men and women of the 6-7 precinct. So for that, I do want to commend and thank everyone that's involved. Like I said, without your support, this success would not happen. And the men and the women of the 6-7 precinct did a phenomenal job throughout the year. We had a great summer, great Labor Day weekend leading into this holidays. It's been a really nice year. So I just want to highlight, take a moment just to acknowledge everything everyone here has done, from the precinct to the community, the clergy, our assemblywomen, our councilmen, everyone, their staff, just tremendous work. Today in 6-7, we had an officer appreciation night. It was really nice, just acknowledging the officers of each of their tours, highlighting them, their work, their good ethics, their family were there. Last week I was at the God Squad clergy meeting, just ending the year on a high note, all the great things we've done with them, highlighting the phenomenal success they had with the violence interrupters. So I do want to thank everyone that's involved, and just my appreciation being here. I got here 6 months ago, and it's been tremendous, just me and the community here, learning from everyone and trying to give back as much as I can. So thank you. I'll take any questions.
Please step to the mic. If you have any questions, please step to the mic. And so to the gentleman who was stating the issue regarding the smoke shop, you're first. And Mr. Westcott, you can follow him.
How you doing?
Good evening. How you doing?
Please, speak in the mic.
I'd like to congratulate the officers that's out in the community. Their presence is being known, and they speak with people, and they're talking with people. So I would like to thank you for that.
Thank you.
As though I was saying, the issue that I'm having is with the smoke in the common area in my building. It comes from one apartment, because I know I'm on that floor that it comes from. Everybody in that building works in this particular apartment. They don't work in it, smoking all day long, and the fume is coming in the hallway all night long, and it's coming in my apartment. I have asthma, I have COPD, and I have a little bit of other issues. And I've called your offices, your precinct, a couple of times, but I was told, it's saying it's legal, but it's not legal for, and I was trying to explain, is it legal for it to come into the common area? Whereas today people are dying from secondhand smoke.
So I just want to clarify something. So when you say smoking in the hallways of
The
a building,
smoke is coming from the apartment.
Use
It's
weed,
visiting-
cannabis.
the weed smell,
cannabis
okay.
is visiting into the hallways. So when I open my door, it comes right in. It's coming through my door. And this
Okay.
is something that's all night long, every single
so-
day.
Two things I'm going to do. One, obviously, Detective Skinner's here. He's going to help you with that. But I do want to acknowledge one thing. When it comes to cannabis, marijuana,
Yes.
with the legalization of it,
Yes, sir.
we're very limited on what we can
I
and can't do,
understand.
especially in
Right.
private areas, buildings.
Right.
Everybody has a right for their own apartment. Controlling that smell honestly, like, it's not an easy thing, for the police department to come and say, hey, we're gonna control the smell, but to our best of our ability, we will Detective Skinner will reach out to them and see if they could help you in terms of reaching out to your landlord, speaking to your building, see if they
because
could work
I've-
something out with the tenants and trying to help you out because of your health condition.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I did send a notarized letter to my landlord
Okay.
telling him all my issues, and he knows of my medical issues.
This is a private building or like a housing building?
Private,
Okay.
private building, East
Apartment
37th.
building or private
Yeah,
house?
right. 249 East 37th Street between Church and Snyder.
Okay.
And it's
Detective
the
Skinner,
second
just
floor.
make sure you get his information.
Okay, I appreciate that.
No, thank you.
Mr. Westcott?
Hello, sir. My
Good
name
evening,
is-
sir. How you doing?
My name is Ken Prescott. I live at 52nd Street. My question is, in regards to the killing that occurred on Clarendon Road, was the suspect apprehended, or could you give us an update on what's happened in that case?
In regards to homicide
Yeah,
investigations,
at the laundry.
I know you're concerned, but in an open forum like this, being that that's still being investigated, I can't go into details of where we're at yet.
Okay.
That detectives are still investigating it, so that's something, if you want comforting answers, like, hey, we are on top of it in terms of the family, reaching out to them, in terms of the investigation itself, with homicide is always our top priority. So we're definitely investigating it, we're on it. But I can't give you further details than that.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right. Are there any more questions for the precinct?
I think there was somebody in the, there was someone in the crowd that had a question. If you want to speak on the side, I'll be here a few minutes. I'll be in the back. If anybody has any other question, wants to speak privately, I'll wait for anyone for any questions.
Thank you so much. All right, we are going to move.
Thank you. Have a good night and happy holidays and happy New Year to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Next on the agenda, we are going, by the way, we are at 21 board members, so we're still not at quorum. But up next, we're going to welcome the New York City Department of City Planning, who will be doing their presentation on the City of Yes. And just to note that the presentation, we're asking 10 minutes.
Yes. And just check that. Oh, this is a PDF. Isn't that it? This is a PDF, so I just. Understand cursor. Oh, okay. Really downloading. And I think I can, I don't know. All right, just scroll through it like. Okay. Hello? Okay. Hello, good evening. My name is Ina Gusenfeld. I'm a senior borough planner at the Brooklyn office of the Department of City Planning. I'm joined here by my colleague tonight, Carolyn Grossman Meeker, who heads our economic research unit. And I'm here to, in my capacity as the liaison to CB17, to present our City of Yes for Economic Opportunity proposals this evening. I'm going to try to be as brief and high level as possible, and we're happy to answer any questions and also leave materials and potentially come back in January for further discussion. Okay. So just as a quick reminder, this would be the second of 3 City of Yes initiatives. Carbon neutrality, which was presented last year, recently passed. This is economic opportunity, and then housing opportunity, which I know is of great interest to CB17, is coming early next year. I left a number of handouts on the table up front summarizing the proposals. It's basically this slide. I know there's a lot of them, and I'll try to go through them as best I can. I'm sorry. Okay. So I'll go through them as best I can in the time allotted. And again, we're here and we're happy to answer any questions. Okay. So this proposal, these proposals were basically informed by a great deal of outreach with stakeholders, small businesses, chambers of commerce, bids, industrial service providers across the city, and basically trying to answer the question of how we can get zoning out of the way of establishing and expanding businesses. Okay, so one of the things we want to do is just to make it easier for businesses to find space and grow across the city. And that means lifting zoning barriers. And one such proposal is that we want to remove, there's a 2-hour time clock for businesses. If a storefront has been vacant for 2 years and it's non-conforming, then it can't necessarily be reactivated. And so we don't want to see more vacancies in our city for this reason. And we're just proposing to remove that time clock so vacant storefronts can be reoccupied in residential areas. We also want to simplify district types. We have this issue across the city where you have similar zoning districts located in the same corridor, but they allow different kinds of businesses. So we don't want a situation where a business can locate on one side of the street, but not another, because one side is in a C1 district and the other is in a C2. So you can see how this would be applicable across important retail corridors in CD17. Okay. We also want to do the same for higher density commercial districts. There aren't many of these in CD17, but there is a small C4 district on the western edge. So that's the portion that would be affected by this proposal. One of the things that we're also hoping to incentivize across the city is what we call small scale clean production. So bakeries, coffee roasters, apparel designers, and allow them to locate in commercial districts with up to 5,000 square feet in C1 and C2 districts, which you can see here in yellow and orange, provided that they comply with environmental standards because they would be located near residences. And we want to enable more of the same of up to 10,000 square feet in C4, C5, and C6 districts. And again, C5 and C6 aren't currently mapped in CD17, so that would only affect the small portion that is a C4 district. Across all districts around the city and including, of course, CD17, we want to eliminate the unnecessary burden of having to provide loading docks where they're either not needed for new businesses or they're just not actually feasible based on the age of the building. And that's a way to keep older commercial buildings occupied continuously. We're also proposing to allow commercial uses on upper floors. So basically, zoning typically restricts where commercial uses can locate, especially above the ground floor. And we'd like to enable, renovation, construction of mixed-use buildings where you can allow commercial uses at the same level or even above residences, but there would have to be a clear separation between those uses. And so this would mean allowing commercial uses on the second floor of a residential building in all commercial districts, including C1, C2, and in CD 17, that would also include C4. Another thing that we found is necessary is to modernize use terms. The zoning resolution dates back to the 1960s, and our business classifications haven't been updated in more than 60 years. So we want to make it easier for newer business types to know where they can actually locate, and that means simplifying and modernizing the terms that we use to describe those uses and businesses. And that would apply across all districts around the city. Another thing we're seeing a lot of demand for is urban agriculture. So we want to support that growing industry by reducing zoning obstacles. And in that case, it would mean clarifying where indoor agriculture is allowed in commercial districts. And that would mean that more food is grown locally closer to communities, particularly those that, are designated food deserts. Life sciences is another growing industry. And so this proposal would clarify that, for example, laboratories without potential for environmental hazards are actually appropriate in office settings, and we would also expand where these labs might be able to locate in the future closer to research centers like hospitals such as this one and universities. Nightlife, I know this is a concern for a number of communities across Brooklyn. But here we want to address confusing regulations that restaurants and bars face on whether they can host concerts, dancing, or comedy shows. And we're just simplifying the rules in this case so that they're based on the size of the venue and not the activity. And my colleague, Carolyn, can speak to M districts specifically. But basically in higher density commercial and industrial districts, dancing is already allowed in bars and restaurants. And we're actually proposing additional lobby requirements to regulate queuing, how people line up to get in. So it can't be located within 100 feet of a residential district and interfere with quality of life. We want people to have more fun across the city. We see a need for indoor amusements and family-friendly venues across the city post-pandemic. And so we want to better define and allow those amusements in C1 and C2 districts to operate at up to 10,000 square feet. And we would also want to encourage that in higher density commercial and M districts. Okay. Another thing we've seen a growth in is home occupations, so people running home-based businesses. And so we want to encourage entrepreneurship, but also keep in place safeguards to ensure that these businesses are being good neighbors. So we're proposing to expand the size allowance and allow up to 3 employees while maintaining noise and environmental rules and other restrictions about selling items that people make in their homes. Overall, we're looking to also just promote better ground floor design. And this is just to create more vibrant streetscapes and ensure that businesses are contributing to active, safe, and walkable streets. So it's just a more consistent way to understand what the rules are for commercial businesses locating across major corridors. In some cases, we want to reduce conflicts with certain types of businesses. And in this case, specifically the auto industry, which is present all across Brooklyn and also in CD 17. So what we're hoping to do is to consolidate auto servicing uses into two zoning categories. So there will be light vehicle repair and heavy vehicle repair. And that's actually classified by the DMV, not by the city. And so, you know, we're trying to allow lighter vehicle repair to locate elsewhere through a Board of Standards and Appeals permit. So they might potentially be allowed in C2 and C4 districts, as long as they had approval. I'm sorry. So there's heavy automotive repair, which is like, you know, treating vehicles that have been in collisions, and there's lighter repair, like changing oil. And so we would be expanding where the lighter repair uses are allowed, instead of just forcing them to locate only where the heavier repair uses are allowed.
No question.
But that would have to be with a special permit from the Board of Standards and Appeals. So that would be regulated not just by zoning, but also by the BSA. So it's a case-by-case basis, not as of right. So this would also apply to M districts. I'm sorry. Okay, so this is for heavy auto servicing, and again, my colleague Carolyn can answer more questions about M districts. And if closing out some of these proposals, micro distribution, that means neighborhood delivery hubs. That's something that's designed to address the last mile delivery problem, where you have trucks clogging up the streets because they're trying to make deliveries directly to people's homes. So the zoning resolution through this proposal would create a new use for micro distribution facilities, and those can locate closer to homes and offices. And that would be limited to 2,500 square feet in C1 and C2 districts, as shown here on this map. They would have up to 5,000 square feet on the ground floor in higher density commercial districts. And in some cases, this would involve a special permit. This is where streetscape rules are important. Some parts of Brooklyn have seen the emergence of so-called dark stores, which is basically hubs that they have their goods lining shelves, but they're not actually selling anything. They're just basically they're there to facilitate distribution and delivery to people's homes. So we're trying to control how micro distribution is permitted and located. Another thing we've seen is that in communities with large residential campuses, you know, NYCHA being one example, there's not a lot of opportunity to create commercial space and to bring needed goods and services closer to you know, the people who live in these dense buildings. So subject to environmental and community board review and approval, we're looking to create a special authorization that allows NYCHA and other large-scale sites up to 15,000 square feet for retail services and maker spaces that serve the residents of those campuses. We're also looking to create a process that would allow small new bodegas, other local uses in residential areas to basically create more corner stores and storefronts. So this would also be achieved through a special authorization, again, a case-by-case basis, up to 2,500 square feet within 100 feet of an intersection. And again, we're not trying to create more congestion or environmental concerns, just better access to needed goods and services. Another authorization that we're proposing is basically for modifications, provide zoning relief to allow certain business types to seek modifications for size and enclosure, basically making it easier for businesses to expand across a variety of zoning districts. With regard to manufacturing, again, I'll let my colleague Carolyn speak more on this, but basically, we understand that a lot of manufacturing zoning is kind of outdated, and we're looking for new tools to promote manufacturing job development across the city in ways that are appropriate to modern manufacturing and relieve some of the outdated zoning restrictions that prevent these businesses from growing. So why don't you put up this slide showing existing conditions and small economic profile of Community District 17. So there are currently just over 23,000 jobs that are primarily institutional. So, libraries, hospitals, educational institutions. And this community has recovered about 108% of its pre-COVID jobs, which is great. There is a significant storefront vacancy rate, but it's actually less than what we see across Brooklyn and New York City. So certainly we want to promote greater storefront occupancy and business vibrancy across the district. This is our timeline for public review. And so we are accepting CB recommendations within the official timeline of 60 days. And so we're looking to have our board comments in hand by the beginning of February, though, this may again be extended based on board circumstances. So we're really hoping that you'll review these proposals and, give us the feedback on how you feel this would affect your community within this timeframe. Okay, and I will share this presentation with the board, and you can check out all the materials and detailed explanations on our website, and also find ways to provide feedback on City of Yes for economic opportunity. Okay, so thank you so much for your time. I'm sorry if I went over, but we're happy to answer questions either now or in writing as well from the board and the community.
I think you have some clarifying points.
Thanks for speaking up and say, this is a lot of complicated topic, but it regulates all of the ways that businesses exist in New York City. And so all of these changes, there are so many of them. The third line is really trying to make it easier for businesses to understand where they can locate and for all of the benefits of pay more by increasing to fill those vacancies by reducing a little bit of red tape. So if there's a lot of economic opportunity, including how to get in touch with us. Be supposed to ground do it well. People have it.
Thank you. And so we're going to open the floor for questions from the board members. Please come to the mic if there are any questions that you may have. This is your opportunity to ask clarifying questions, state recommendations in public. Step to the mic. Step to the mic, board members, please.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Brandon Matherin, community board member. I have a concern with the 13th part, which was to reduce conflicts between auto repair shops and the pedestrians. It just seems as if what this will be doing is limiting the amount of auto repair shops that we currently have, which kind of affects their business as well, because what we're doing essentially is telling them that we don't want you in this location. We want to group everybody in one location, but how likely is it that these people will be able to relocate?
Yeah.
And how will that affect their business within the community?
Yeah, thank you so much. It's such a good question. First, I just want to say off the bat, it will not affect a single business that exists today. No one who's there on the ground has to relocate. We're not putting anybody out of business. We support our small businesses. And that's really, that's a crucial part here, right? We certainly don't want to put anybody out of business. Now, when it comes to auto repair,
From a planning perspective, we've got this challenge because on the one hand, city still has a lot of drivers, right? We can do things to make the city more pedestrian friendly, but people need to fix their cars. They need tire repair. And that can't just happen in our industrial areas, although much of it does. It happens on neighborhood streets, right? At the same time, we hear from boards all across the city that are really concerned about when auto businesses spill out onto the sidewalk or into the curb lane and are doing their business effectively in the pedestrian space. And that can be unsightly or uncomfortable or unsafe at worst, right? So what we want to do and what the proposal is trying to do is say, businesses can go to the industrial areas and they can do a lot of different things. If you are going to locate a new business on a commercial street, you will now need to go in front of the Board of Standards and Appeals so that they can show you a site plan and confirm that you can do your business inside the building, right? So that the future businesses that locate have a little bit more to prove to make sure that they're not going to be those kind that really have to rely on the sidewalk. And you see that all the time, that they're so small, they really never could do their business inside.
Right.
So we want to make sure that the future businesses, we're not recreating that same problem. And by the way, there is enforcement opportunities for the ones that are doing it on the street, but it's much harder when you already have the business in place in that condition. We think we can do a better job of making sure that future businesses don't locate with that problem built in, and that the city and the community has a little bit more control to say, hey, if you're a bad actor and you're using the sidewalk to do your business, maybe you in the future don't get to do that in the future.
Exactly.
But we agree, it's a balance we're trying to strike because we do want to protect those businesses. And there's that conflict that exists, but we don't want to put anyone out of business. It's quite contrary to the purpose.
Okay, makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Pearline Fields, board member. I just wanted to get a little more clarity on the first one where you said to lift the time limits for reactivating vacant storefronts. Can you get more information for that? Because I barely heard it the first time.
Yeah, thanks so much for the question. We have thousands so if you're in a commercial district today, so if you're on Church Avenue, you're on like a normal commercial street, you're legal use there, right? Businesses are allowed to be on Church, business comes in, business comes out of the same storefront all the time, no problem. But there are lots and lots of places in the city, including in our residence districts, where you see a store, maybe not where other stores are, right? Like maybe on parts of Rogers or, just off the main street. And those are usually not in a commercial district. And so they're allowed to be there, but we call those non-conforming businesses, right? And so they're usually like in a residence district, right? A place where otherwise only homes are allowed, but that business has been there for like 100 years and they can stay. And sometimes that business goes away and it can be reoccupied. But under zoning, in many places in the city, there is a 2-year ticking clock that controls whether that commercial space can be reoccupied legally, right? So if I was there for 100 years and then I go vacant, and if I'm vacant for more than 2 years, all of a sudden my right to be a commercial space goes away because I'm in a residence district, and so now I'm a residence. Well, but anybody can see, if you look at it, that it was built like a storefront, right? It's not an easy place to put a home into, right? Like has probably glass in the front and like doesn't have a shower in it, right? So we have thousands of businesses across the city that we've put in this weird situation, especially after the pandemic where so many places were vacant, that they can't legally reoccupy those spaces. So what we're saying is not that we would, in that case, legalize a new storefront in a residential area where we otherwise don't permit them. But if you were a storefront 5 years ago, you're still okay, right? We're just going to take that clock off. And that rule, it's inconsistently applied. Some areas of the city, the clock doesn't exist. But again, because our zoning is so old and out of date when it comes to commercial rules, that one has just stuck around. And now we think it's hurting and it's creating vacancy where we don't need it.
Okay.
Is that helpful, Claire?
Yeah, that's much better. Thank you.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, my name is George Tate. I actually have one question and one concern. Would I be able to Okay. First, the question is number 11, and it's similar to what you just mentioned, but specifically, I'm asking, let's say someone in a residential area who wants to use their backyard or their garage to start a business. Is that something, is that what number 11 is saying? That, let's say, a mechanic wants to open up a shop in their backyard or in their garage, would they be able to do that in the middle of a residential block?
Gotcha. I just wanted to double check which one 11 was.
Alright.
So, so home-based businesses. So zoning today defines what a home-based business is, right? The key word being home.
Could
And
you
it's
define
very
it?
different than a storefront business, right? So what the zoning says today, before we change it, is to be a home-based business, you have to live in the home, right? First, you have to live there. It has to be your actual home.
Right.
You can use up to 25% of your home for your business. You can work there and you can have one other person with you. And you can't create odors, noise, other objectionable effects. You can't have any signage and you can't sell things you didn't make there, right? And then within that, it's pretty permissive about what you can do, right? And so today, especially after the pandemic, thousands and thousands of people are working from home, mostly legally, right? And mostly we don't hear about it for good, right? What the zoning also says is there's a handful of occupations that are listed and said, you can't be here, right? Just names a few people who for some reason are called out and says, you can never be a home occupation. Yeah, so it says a barber cannot be a home occupation, a pharmacist cannot be a home occupation, an interior decorator can't be a home occupation, a public relations specialist cannot be a home occupation, kennels can't be a home occupation, and I may be forgetting one or two. So it's a mix, right? Some that like kind of make sense. Kennels also illegal under the health code, by the way. So, right, and then some that like you really scratch your head, like why was that made illegal? Again, these rules go back to the 1960s, and we don't really even know why they were done that way. But things like rock musician, technically allowed, but there are protections against noise. If you make excessive noise, you're not allowed under the zoning to be enforced against. So we're doing, so to answer your question, like auto repair, I think is really like the concern is, does allowing home occupation cover that? Well, no, because the difference between, you know, the zoning today says I can't have signage, I can't sell things I didn't make on site, I can't have excessive noise and dust, right? So all of those things are reasons that like a home, you can't drive, you know, and you can't live there, right? So you can't drive a car into my apartment. It's not, you know, it's very, very different than a storefront business. So nothing we're doing today makes it just makes more of a storefront business legal as a home occupation. What we're doing on home occupation is allowing it to be a little bit more of your apartment, because for, you know, if you live in a studio apartment, 25% basically means that we're saying you're breaking the law if you're using your living room, right? So we wanted to make sure that people aren't like relegated to the bathroom on their laptops or whatever, or that you can use your kitchen if you're making cupcakes at home. And just a little bit more flexibility there in removing some of those occupations. But no, it is illegal today. It would still be illegal today to be doing that, what you're describing, you know, sort of turning your apartment into a bar or turning your apartment into like a auto repair facility. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, but more specifically was also, because you mentioned, no, you can't drive your car into an apartment, but technically you could drive your car into part of your property if your garage is in the back and you come in through a community drive.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
sort of like if you have a garage, could you use your garage?
Right.
car?
That's right. No, you can't, but,
Yeah, I think you'd be triggering other parts of the law that would make it illegal. Happy to look at that a little bit more. But in general, a car repair is requiring so much venting and other things. It's hard to imagine that could physically work.
Yes.
Yeah, like if you were doing something like something like that, where there wasn't like machines or like exhaust and you were just like fixing somebody's bike chain in your garage, yeah, that's probably a legal home business.
Okay, yes. I don't want to hog your time, so, but my concern that, I'm really a little concerned that at this stage, when we have a shortage of homes in the city, right, that allowing upper floors to be converted from apartments into business, isn't that going to exacerbate whatever apartment we have left, and it will be even worse. The housing situation is going to become worse. And let's face it, a commercial business will be able to pay more for rent than a regular citizen.
Yeah.
So therefore, won't the landlord be holding back and renting apartments until so they could get a commercial space in there.
Yeah.
So that's going to make the home shortage in the city even worse.
Yeah,
That's my
I
comment.
understand the concern and I appreciate it. And I want to note something that Ina shared earlier, which is that we are working at city planning very hard on a housing proposal as well to try and create a little bit more housing in every neighborhood of the city, right? Because we want to make sure that every neighborhood is doing its part to make the city a little bit more affordable. The housing crisis is the most important thing that I think we're all facing. I know I feel that every day. So we completely agree, and we will be back to this board next year to talk more about what we can do on the housing issue. Now, as it relates to this proposal, I want to distinguish that when we're talking about the home occupation part, right? So not storefronts, but just like what you can do in your home. There, we think it actually helps housing because it's helping people afford, you have to live in the unit, right? It's your home. But if you can do your business from your home, that might be helping you pay to stay there, right? So we think that on balance does help housing. In terms of allowing the commercial on the second story, it's a reasonable point when it comes to an existing home. That second story on like maybe a street, like Nostrand, where you might have like 3 stories and the second story is housing today, and the buildings already exist, they're next to one after another. You would have to do so much physical construction to convert that second story to commercial. You would have to have an entire second entrance, which your building's only 25 feet wide. There's nowhere to put it, right? You can't build, in a second story stair, in a building that's 100 years old. You have to convert the entire residential floor to new fire codes, sprinklers, secondary egress. We think that is extremely, extremely unlikely for an existing building. For a new building, you might see a second story commercial, but then you might see residential on top of that. So you might help get some units because the building has more uses in it that can, help, pay for the building. And where we really think it makes a difference is in much larger buildings. This is, we're much more, you think about Midtown, for instance, where, or I often, answer our office building in Lower Manhattan is 40 stories tall. And it's a full block deep, right? So there's like 6 elevator banks, right? Now, there might be some vacancy in it right now because there's a lot of vacancy in office buildings in Lower Manhattan. If our landlord wanted to say, hey, half of this building should be residences, I want to convert it, they'd have to kick us out because the second you put residences below us, we become illegal. So we stop the housing from being added. So in those kinds of situations where, somebody might be taking an existing building and wants flexibility between the commercial and the residential, the zoning precludes it. And in those cases, they might be investing a lot of money to upgrade. So the issue of extra entrances and things won't be as much of a problem. So that's what we have in mind. The issue of the second story has come up. we're mindful of it. We don't think it's a very likely outcome at all because of how difficult it would be to convert that building. But we're always looking for more ways to make sure that we can secure housing. So happy to talk more on that.
Yes, but the statement says upper story, they don't say second floor. It says upper.
Yes, so,
it could be
so
anywhere.
because we're covering a lot of.
Thank you very much.
Right.
I took enough
Yes,
time. but
right.
thank you.
In your districts, it's only second story. We would not be talking about higher than that in these districts here.
Thank you.
Say that we have one minute. I'm second at the here.
Yeah.
So there are two more questions.
And we're happy to hang out in the lobby if anyone has any.
This is
thoughts.
just really quick. In your presentation, you said as of right. I just wanted to know what that meant.
Yes,
What
so
is as of right?
is, thank you, technical term. As of right is in zoning is when all you have to do is comply with the codes and you can go to the Department of Buildings and you're allowed to build that thing. So most uses, like if I want to be a commercial storefront on Church Avenue, I am as of right, meaning my store can go file with the Department of Buildings and I'm legal to be there, as opposed to I need a special permission. Like we talked about on auto repair, I need to go ask for permission to locate somewhere in the city. So that's the distinction, is like, am I generally presumed to be legal or do I have to prove my case on a case-by-case basis?
Thank you.
Okay, so mine is like a two-part question. The first one is in regards to, you talked about NYCHA and finding storefronts for them, but you didn't really go into more details. The second one is, if we know that housing is a priority, why aren't we hearing more about the housing first instead of the commercial?
Yeah, sure. I'll answer the second one. It's just a matter of how these proposals get developed. So because the housing one has a much more, it's gonna try and do a lot. It's gonna try and create a lot of housing in the city. It has to go through a very intense environmental review to see what kind of infrastructure we're gonna need to support that housing in every part of the city. So it takes longer to develop that. So you'll hear more about that in detail next year. That being said, if you're interested in it, there is information on our website now. We're happy to follow up with you on some of the resources on the preliminary piece of it. It's just farther behind because of the amount of work that goes into that proposal.
Okay.
And then on, sorry.
NYCHA.
Yes. So NYCHA campuses, sometimes you see they'll have like a single store in them. Sometimes they're completely residential. Most NYCHA campuses are not zoned to have stores. So even the ones that have a store, it's usually like what I described before, like they've had it for a long time, so they're allowed to keep it, but you generally can't legally put a store on a NYCHA campus. Well, sometimes people want to, right? Sometimes we hear, I'd love to make makerspace. I'd love to have a small community kitchen. I'd love to be able to like help do food packing. Illegal on most NYCHA campuses. So we want to create a process by which if NYCHA tenants, NYCHA, together on a campus, if it makes sense, we have a way to legalize that use. It's discretionary, which means it has to come to the community board. So not as of right, as I was just describing, it's a way for that campus to apply to say, hey, we'd like to put a store here.
Okay, thank you.
We had one more minute. Ms. Thomas.
One question. Yeah, hi, I'm just trying to, there's a lot to process here, but I'm, in the interest of time, I'm just gonna ask like one question and I won't ask follow-ups because I have too many questions. I'm just trying to understand we were talking about the home-based businesses, like what the landlord's responsibility is, because you gave some examples here, you said like barber, pharmacist, kennels. For example, these kinds of businesses would create problems with the draining system in a building. So as far as clogging, as far as corrosive materials going on. So I'm just wondering, like, where the landlord fits in to all of this.
Yeah, it's a great question. Let me also just wrap up and say thank you for giving us a little extra time and
Yeah.
nyc.gov/yes economic opportunity. Anyone who wants to reach out to us and follow up with more questions is more than, we encourage you to do so. Lots of resources on there and our email address, which I believe is economicopportunity@planning.nyc.gov, but you find it online. So on home occupations, I just wanted to say again, the city already allows this. We already allow a lot of different kinds of home occupations. And so most landlords are familiar with that and they have either, your lease may say something about it, right? So just because it's legal under zoning doesn't mean that my building allows me to do anything, right? My building might, make it illegal to make loud noises or to play music loudly in my apartment, regardless of whether it's my home occupation or just my joy, right? So there's a lot of things that landlords can protect against. Certainly trash, right? Like if I'm running a home business, my landlord might say, you have to pay extra for trash pickup. That's today, under the law already. Sanitation policy already speaks to home occupation. So there's a whole body of existing law because this is not new. Rules around home occupation have existed since the 60s. What we're proposing to do is change it on the margin. So we want to give people a little more space inside that apartment. We want to allow you to have an extra worker because we know that that's more common today. And we want to remove these sort of random list of prohibited occupations. But while those occupations, might scratch your head in some ways, there are also occupations today that are legal that raise very similar questions. And so we think that the law already speaks to when you might create hazards, right? Trash, noise, sort of problem tenants is all already built as a tenant law because we're not creating that as a category. Happy to follow up if that's sort of a short answer. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming and thank you for your presentation. And if there are any questions, please, they will be in the back here tonight. Please go to the back and ask any questions that you may have. But thank you. Thank you. We are still checking to see if we have quorum. We see Dr. Galbraith has joined us. We see, if you did not hear your name, can you please state your name? If you were not here for the initial roll call, please state your name. Louis Brown.
Agnes Cato.
Teresa Barrington. If you're online, we cannot count you as present. Oh, I think you got her. Michael Hill. Dr. Galbraith. Anyone else?
Agnes Cato.
If you're online, we cannot count you as present. So we're next on the agenda while we count, and Ms. James. We're going to move to legislative session and then we'll come back if we have quorum. I'm going to invite our representatives and our representatives here. So Ms. Stevenson, Daniel, if you're here, please come to my left to make your reports. We welcome the Borough President's Office, Ms. Stevenson.
Good night, everyone. No real report today. On behalf of the Borough President and the Community Boards Unit, we just wanted to wish everyone a happy holiday. Be safe, make joyful memories, and we'll see you back here in January. And remember, if you are expiring this year, next year, you need to fill out your community board application. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Up next.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Giovanni Piquant, Deputy Chief of Staff to Councilmember Rita Joseph of the 40th Council District. Just here to wish you all a happy holidays, and I hope that all is well. We also are aware that there was a recent rain and flooding in parts of Brooklyn and across the city. So if your business or yourself or your home, if you live in the 40th district and you've experienced flooding or you may need further assistance, feel free to reach out to our office and email us at district40@council.nyc.gov. And if you've also submitted a 311 complaint, we can also expedite and follow up on that as well. We have various toys giveaways coming up in the community. We have several tomorrow and throughout the holiday season. All of our resources and flyers are on the back of the table when you leave, so you can pick one up so you can stay tuned to what we have going on. I'll also email these resources to the community board so they can also disseminate it to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Next, Daniel. We're at the legislative session, so if you're here representing an elected official, please make your way to my left.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Daniel Heredia, Community Outreach Liaison for Councilmember Lewis. Thank you so much, Community Board 17, for always giving me an opportunity to speak on behalf of the council member. So today, the updates I would like to present. Firstly, thank you so much for the Community 17 community, for everyone who came out to the tree lighting we had last Friday with over hundreds of toys distributed at the board office right by Powdergate Park. It was really great to support many of the students, scholars, and residents of the community, as well as some new asylum seekers who were in need of new resources as they come into this community. It was a pleasure to serve all of you alongside that event, and thank you so much for everyone who came out. Today at City Hall was the last stated meeting of the council. What that means is all the last bills that were happening at City Hall that were pending were getting voted out today, as is the last one of the session. The council members' bill to increase transparency on police activities and overtime passed today. We know that there's a lot of concerns regarding the mayor's budget cuts and how it's going to affect our community. We definitely like to work in partnership with our police precincts to make sure that we're preserving safety, but it's also important to make sure that we have transparency to make sure that the department is operating as efficiently as possible. So we're very looking forward to see how the mayor will act within 10 days from now to make sure that this legislation gets passed into law. So the next thing that's coming up next year is participatory budgeting. So we heard a lot of feedback from all of the principals of the schools, especially those in Community Board 17, for the needs that they have for their capital improvements, ranging from air conditioning upgrades, furniture upgrades, auditorium, gym, audiovisual, everything. So we will be releasing a list of all the ideas that we've compiled over the last couple of weeks from our principals, as well as other concerns that we've heard from the community. I've got some from Brooklyn Level Up as well on some capital needs, especially relating to flooding along Whitty Lane, 56th Street. Those areas are particularly hard hit in the past storms that we've gotten recently. So we will be sharing more information. And in April, you all will have an opportunity to vote on which ones will get funded in the next capital plan for New York City, for Community Board 17. So tomorrow we have a toy giveaway for the Flatbush Gardens community happening tomorrow. It's going to be 1404 Brooklyn Avenue. That's right on the corner of Foster Avenue and Brooklyn Avenue from 5 to 7. We're going to be delivering tons of toys for the community, and we encourage everyone to join us as we bring in the holiday cheer for this community. If you have any questions, I'm here to the very end tonight. So if you want to ask me any questions about what's happening in District 45, you don't know which council member you are, or if you need to figure out how to get in contact with our office over anything that is pending, feel free to reach me in the back at any time in this meeting. My name is Daniel Heredia. On behalf of Councilmember Farah Lewis, I wish you all a beautiful evening and a joyous rest of your year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Robinson.
President, good evening and good night to each and every one. Dalton Robinson from Chandler Waterman's office. The member is actually out doing her rounds. I hope she could make it here in time. So I'll be very brief. Recently, the member got a bill signed by the governor, Bill 5791. You can just look it up, but it just actually says if a community has been victimized, or more people murdered in one incident, then that will actually triggers resources to the community will design it, they will label it as mass shooting, and that will trigger support for the community. For more information, you could call the office. I could give you that number at the end of it. We're encouraging people to be careful during this festive season. Protect your identity, make sure you're not scammed, so on and so forth. The member is very big on pushing, working with our stakeholders and pushing, like I said, 988 for people we have a lot of people with mental problems, everything, so on and so forth. We want to keep the police out of those situations. So just in case you encounter somebody who has that sort of system, we have kiosks all around the city now that you can actually go also and call for help, and somebody will help you. If there's anyone here who has an idea for a law that's supposed to be passed at the state level, I have something at the back there. There ought to be a law. You can communicate your information to us, and the member definitely will take that up into Albany. Most of the things that we have reported throughout the year, we still continue to do at our office. So any services, any support that you actually need and our office can provide for you, you can reach out to us at 718-385-3336, 718-385-3336. Physically, we're at 903 Utica Avenue between Church and Snyder. And with that, I wish everybody a happy holiday. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Again, if you need or have any questions for any of the representatives, you can see them in the back or reach out to them, their offices. Oh, we have one more. Come on up.
Good evening. I am Cindy Renwick, the Chief of Staff for Assemblymember Ryan Cunningham. Happy holidays, season's greetings, and Happy New Year to everyone here and also online. We were honored to co-sponsor the Christmas Grand Market in partnership with Broughton Productions at the Alliance Tabernacle last weekend, which was lovely. Assemblymember Monique Chandler Waterman also was in attendance, and it was a really great production. The Holiday and Christmas Fun doesn't end there. We are also co-hosting Gifts for the Season in partnership with the Edison Youth Center at our office on Friday. There are flyers in the back. So if anybody sees one, please feel to pick it up and attend. It's from 3 to 5 at our office in partnership with Brooklyn Bodega and Toys for Tots. And as always, as the session begins in Albany, the members, of course, will be there. We're looking forward to the State of the State with the governor. And as such, we'll be accepting capital and expense discretionary applications. So if you would like to submit one as a nonprofit, please feel free to visit our website and find the application so you can apply. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other representatives in the room? Seeing none, we're going to move to our next agenda item. And so I want to thank everyone who's here. We are finally at quorum, and so therefore we can vote on some of the items that are up for vote this evening. So at this moment, I'll be turning it over to Ms. Prasad.
Good evening, everyone. My name is June Prasad. I am the chair of the Commerce Committee. At this moment, I'll ask if there is any liquor license applicant in the room. I know round 2 is not coming. Abbey Corner LLC, are you present?
I'm actually online, not present. I wasn't.
Oh, I told you it was an in-person meeting last night.
Okay, I could try. Where is the meeting tonight?
I'm sorry?
Where's the meeting? The address of the meeting?
You got that information. It's at Lenox Road, but I'm not sure how far you are.
I'm not that far. I could try to make it over there.
Oh, you're not too far? Was it
No.
395 or 495? 395 Lenox Road in the auditorium. It's Downstate Hospital.
Okay, I could try to be there soon.
Okay, thank you, sir. Moving right along, I think we have the cannabis applicant. Are you here? Come on up, sir. Okay, committee board. I know you all were waiting for this time. We do have, no, just stand right in front there with the mic, yeah. We do have our first cannabis application in person. This application came before the Commerce Committee in November because of how the meeting fall. This application is Mr. Kenrick Kelly, doing business as Above Maker LLC. It's located at 119 Veronica Place, Brooklyn, New York, 11226. I know the community board agenda says it's a retail dispenser, but it's not. It's a micro business. There's three types of cannabis application that comes before the board. There's the retail dispensary, which is like you sell over the counter, like the smoke shops, for example. Micro business is actually where they will be growing the actual plant, cannabis plant, weed plant. And also he will have a retail dispensary. Doesn't necessarily means in Community Board 17, but it can be in any other area. That information will be provided to OCM, not necessarily the Community Board. The other application, I'm still learning a little bit about that. As soon as we get them, as you all know, this is something new for all of us, okay? At this time, I am going to, the Commerce Committee voted to approve this application. I will open the floor now to Mr. Kelly for, he can tell us a little bit more about his business and any questions. Mr. Kelly, the floor is yours. Turn it up, maybe. Take it off if you can. This one is better, maybe. Got it? This one is better. Face the audience. Okay.
Good night, everybody. Yeah, well, I'm planning on opening a cultivating business on 119 Veronica Place. It's basically, I was affected by this growing up. I'm making it clear, this is not a dispensary, it's just to cultivate and grow. And in the time being, like, any proceeds that we make, we'll try to give back to the community. We're gonna try to hire within the community. So I'm making it clear, like, this is not a dispensary. We will not have a smoke shop in this area because there's too much schools in the area. And like, more than likely, the business is gonna grow. Just like alcohol used to be illegal until 1933, it was like the same problem. And then now marijuana is legal. So the bigger business is gonna come and eat it up anyway. So basically, we're trying to start, like me and my partners, they're not here tonight, but we're gonna try to start on a small basis. The micro business is gonna limit what we could do anyway. And it's gonna be more stricter than a bigger, having a legal marijuana license.
Okay, I'm going to open the floor for questions. I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions, one at a time. Please come to the mic.
Thank you. I'm not sure I understand the definition of what your micro business is because it's weed regardless. But there's a state education law that says it's specifically say a dispensary. But I'm trying to figure out, does it even matter what is a micro business or what? Cannot be within 500 feet of any school grounds, and you're kind of close to 246. Does that law apply to you regardless of what you define your business as?
So basically, we're cultivating. We're cultivating, but it's close. It's not like it's an open business where somebody's gonna come in there and buy. We have a whole separate business in a different area.
So you're not selling?
We're
No.
not selling, it's just to cultivate.
They're growing.
Yeah, just to
Yes.
grow.
It's an open space, a land space, an empty lot, and they're growing it. Yes. So there's not, the dispenser can be in another area. That's why it's called a micro business. So it's a cultivation and the dispenser, but right now they do not have a dispenser in our district. I'm not sure if I'm sure he plans on getting one somewhere else, but not in our district at the time.
But I still under that state law.
That only applies to retail businesses. It does not apply to micro business, correct? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. and-
You're very welcome. Go ahead, Chair.
Well,
Hold the mic
the
up,
micro
sir.
business, it limitates. We will have to sell our own product. We can't get marijuana from somebody else. But the plan is to open a dispensary in a safe area. And we don't plan on profiting off of minors. So we trying to hit a particular age group, which we're gonna do with social media and try to see. So like I said, it's limited. It's not like we could branch off.
That's not a question. so,
Okay,
Make sure you listen clearly.
all right.
Just want to clarity maybe to everyone. Marijuana,
Mm-hmm.
sell it to, can you sell it at this point?
Not at that location.
Yeah, that's,
He's a micro, like I said earlier, a micro business, you can grow and you have to have a dispenser. So you're supplying your own dispenser, but right now, he doesn't have a location for the dispenser, the retail dispenser store. He will have to provide that with his application to the cannabis, the cannabis Office of Cannabis Management. But he's not required to provide that to the community board at the time because he does not have the location.
But so wait, oh, hold on.
All right, go ahead. I know there are going to be questions.
One question, so then who are you dispensing it to, or how is it being?
all right. So, all right, like tonight, the main focus is just to cultivate. It has nothing to do with selling.
Right.
Yeah, it's no selling going on in that area.
Okay.
And we're trying to keep it as discreet as possible. So we're gonna have, even though it's like canopy, it's gonna be fenced. The fence is gonna be blocked off. So nobody should know besides the workers what's going on there.
So you're currently cultivating with a plan in the future to dispense elsewhere?
Yes.
Okay.
But he has to decide on that before he submits his application to the Office of Cannabis Management. He has to come up with a location. But right now, he's just coming for the cultivating part of it. Next question. George or?
All right.
Dispensary, or will you be a distributor for other dispensary?
Well, the micro business limits that, so we could only be
Exactly.
a distributor for
Your
ourselves.
own.
But like I said, this area is not for distribution. It's just for cultivating.
Okay, so you're saying right now you just will be cultivating,
just
and you
cultivating.
cannot distribute to any other
No.
licensed dispenser?
No,
That's a
just-
different type of license, George. It's a dispenser license.
Okay, yeah, so his
Right.
cultivation is just for his
Just for
future
growing
dispensary.
and for a retail dispenser that he will have in the future, some other location that we don't have
Yeah,
right now.
by the grower.
Yeah.
Correct, and he can only supply his own retail distribution dispenser establishment, if that makes
thank you.
sense. Thank you. Go ahead, JL. No, 119 Veronica Place.
Sure that children, they will know eventually.
Yeah, but
What are you?
I mean, like, it's gonna be a fence. It's not like somebody could jump over the fence. If we have the fence, it's gonna be a high enough fence and it's gonna be gated, like, so nobody can't just walk through.
Put the mic up so people can hear you.
Ask you specifically to give you plans because I'm voting
Yeah,
for the fence, but I'm hearing you say that you're not quite sure exactly.
No, I'm just saying, once the project start, it's gonna be at least 8 foot, like at least 8 foot, and it's gonna be blocked off. So it's not like a see-through fence that you could just look in and see what's going on. Cause I know, like you said, I know kids is gonna be in the area. It's everybody. You gotta worry about kids. You gotta worry about danger, everything else. It's not just one thing.
That question was asked in the Commerce Committee meeting, Jail. So, and who's next? I'm not sure. Go ahead, guys.
Okay, I just want to say thank you so much for going it the right way. We have a lot of cannabis shops that are opening up around the neighborhood that hasn't gone through the proper channels. So thank you so much for doing what you're doing.
Yep.
The second thing that I'd like to say is, I understand that, you know, you're growing and it's only for growing purposes, which should be considered because a lot of the dispensaries that's going out now, you don't know what's going on with the product that they're selling. This gentleman is taking the time out of his day to create a business that will actually help consumers who are actually using it have a safer product. So in that case, I just want to commend you because I know you're going to get beat up a lot here because a lot of people here are kind of, you know, against the cannabis movement, which is understood. But
Yeah.
we do want to give you, you know, accommodations because you're doing it the right way. At least we'll be able to see how your process will be for creating this crop, how it will be affecting the community. Because the other stuff that the tons and thousands of smoke shops that are around right now have no idea where their product is coming from. But yet our children,
Illegal ones. too.
our family members are using this product and they have nothing to go based off of. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a step up.
Uplifting thing.
And thank you so much for trying at least to do it the right way. And I hope that it works out for you.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Next.
Yeah.
Good evening. Just clarifying on the question currently, so in terms of the property itself, would it be fully covered or be open space other than the fencing? Like if someone were to see it from above, like a drone, would someone be able to see what you're cultivating?
Well, I thought I answered that, but we're gonna have canopies.
Like a green room, because that was discussed in the Commerce Committee meeting. Like a greenhouse, sorry, not a green room.
Thank you. And second question, kind of more directed to the Commerce Committee related.
Okay.
But because of, it's a micro business, earlier, the previous presentation in terms of if a legal dispensary is, or legal business is open in an area, you can have certain other businesses in that vicinity. Would this count, or because it's only the cultivation, it wouldn't count?
That does not affect the cultivation aspect of it. It's only for a retail dispensary that the illegal ones has to be removed 1,000 feet from that legal. Depending on the population, it can be 1,000 or 2,000 feet.
And so just to clarify, it has to be the dispensary, not a.
Correct.
Got it, darn.
I'm learning as well. Trust me, it's a lot of information to
Thank you for
take
your
in.
time.
You're welcome. Next.
Okay, so the question, I'm just wanted to make sure that we're clear. You're growing, right? Are you going to come to the same community board to actually do your dispensary? Are you going somewhere else?
Well, it depends. Like, if we could find a good enough area where business could try, like, move forward. But I like everybody else said, it's a lot of schools in this area. So more than likely, we're gonna push to a different area. Like, I work in Williamsburg. In that area, I don't see as much kids as when I come home. I also live in this neighborhood. So it's area that I see that more populated with kids. So we're trying to go to the areas that's not.
Okay, so then the next question is, the process of you getting that dispensary, how far have you started? Are you close to getting it? Because the question for me is, if you're growing, but then you can't sell it, then what happens to you?
Yeah, then I would be in a situation. But yeah, but it's like we're putting in. I mean, we're putting in the necessary work to have everything done on time.
But how would it go? That's what I'm like trying to get. So if you're growing, right, you're growing, growing, but then all of it is piling up, where are you gonna put it?
I think,
but
like I said, 1 second. He has to find a dispenser before he submit his application to OCM, which is Office of Management Cannabis.
So he has to find
So
a
this is his
dispensary
first,
before
right.
he gets
This
the
is his
permit.
first step, the 30-day notice to the community board. And before he submit his package to OCM, he has to find a location for the dispenser. They will not give him the license without that.
Okay, thank you.
I hope that answered your question. Did it? Thank you, sweetie. Whew. Learning this is a lot of information to take in, and it's not a topic I really want to learn about. Any other questions? Seeing none? Can we vote? No, we don't. I don't think we take questions online. You have to be in
No,
person because it's
no.
board members. You can sit, Mr. Kelly. We're going to vote right now. Thank you.
All right. So we're, just to clarify what the exact matter, because I need to write it in. So we're approving an application for a micro business, which is a cannabis grower and cultivator.
Just micro business, that's the name of the application.
Just a cannabis
business.
micro business.
Just micro business, yeah, which is cannabis application.
Okay. All right. So we are voting to approve an application for a micro business. And I'll start with Brandon Alfonso. Brandon Alfonso's not here? Okay. Might be wrong. Tiffany Anderson? Antoine Burlock? Barrington Barrett? Celia Berlin? Teresa Brereton? Louis Brown? Ashley Cunningham?
Yes.
Hermina Daniels? All right. Kayla Drageen. Not here. Natasha Duncan. Natalie Ferguson's not here. Pearline Fields. Allison. French Kenton. Charles Galbraith. Rose Graham. Gail Grandison. David Halon. Michael Hill. Julia James. Emerson Lazarari. Trisha Lewison. Brandon Matherin. Edith Mark. Daniel McCabe. Nyla Austin's not here. Khadijah Alowo, is not here, I don't think. Montserrat Oni, is not here. Rodney Pepper Souvenir, not here. June Prasad. Dr. Carol Renault. Aaron Roth.
Sit right there.
Can you mute whoever that is?
I don't know.
Antoinette Smart, not here. Camera Swaby. That's a yes? Oh, yeah. Simone Sylvester. George Tate. Tamara Thomas votes yes. Hislat Tursun is not here. Jessica Welch is not here. Kenrick Westcott? Staying. And Ivor Wood? Not here.
Oh, thank you, Dave. I'm putting it up here, so that way. That's it? Okay, certain. So the liquor, just not right here. Give him a mic, please. The liquor license applicant is here, who was online. The name of the applicant is Abbey Corner LLC. It's located at 670-674 Rogers Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. This is a renewal for liquor license. It's a restaurant with recorded music. The police report as follows. There's no incident at the location. The Commerce Committee voted to approve this application. Mr. Ivy, I will now open the floor for him to address the members, and if you have any questions. Go ahead, just tell them a little bit about your
Yeah,
business.
so we opened up the business actually in February 12th, 2020. It took us 2 years to get it open. There was a lot of construction, a lot of renovation on the space. And then we were forced to close in March of 2020. So it's been an uphill battle, but we are still here 4 years later. Most of the staff that we have are residents of the community of CB17. And we service the community. We're right down the block from Rogers Garden, so we kind of work together with them. So we're just, again, like I said, it's a renewal. We've been there 4 years and happy to continue to serve the community.
Okay, I'll open the floor. Are there any questions for Mr. Abbey? Going once, going twice. Can we vote, ma'am? Madam Sec, oh, she's still counting. You can have a seat. I'll take the mic.
While we wait for the votes to be tallied, the next item on the agenda is special report from board members on unfinished business, old business. Are you ready? Next vote.
Okay, so the next vote, we are voting on a liquor license. Is it Abe's Corner? It's Abe's Corner. Yes, I do have that. That's 18 yeses, 5 abstains, and 1 no. So that motion carries. Congratulations. All right, Tiffany Anderson. Berlot Antoine. Voting on a renewal of a liquor license for Abe's Liquor. Thank you. Celia Berlin. Teresa Brereton. Louis Brown. Asher Cunningham. Hermina Daniels. Natasha Duncan. Perlene Fields. Charles Galbraith. Rose Graham. Gail Grandison. Michael Hill. Julia James. Brandon Matherin. Edith Mark. Daniel McCabe. June Prasad. Dr. Carol Renault. Tamara Swaby. Simone Sylvester. George Tate. Tamara Thomas votes yes. And Kenrick Westcott. Kenrick Westcott.
All right, while Ms. Thomas tallies the vote, are there any special report from board members? Please mount the mic or mount the stage. Any other, please come to the stage if you have a special report.
Good evening. I don't know if this constitutes a special report, but I think per the bylaws, there's a responsibility to ensure that board members who have not attended 3 meetings or more need to be removed to reduce what happened, the possibility of what happened tonight of not having. And 2, I
is now walking you through exactly why the original meaning of the 14th Amendment disqualifies Trump from the ballot.
Thank you. 2, I went to 2 post offices today in our community on Utica Avenue, and there were no express mail slips. And one person indicated that there has not been any for the past months. I think that's outrageous. If we don't have, no other post office in the Brooklyn should have. If they have and we don't have, that's a problem. So I think we as a board need to have some communication to find out why it is our post offices have been deprived. And this came from a postal employee for the past months of, I could not send an express mail today because none of the 2 post offices on Utica Avenue had any slips. And that's outrageous. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. James. Your 2 reports are noted. Are there any other special reports from board members? Seeing Mr. Westcott, is that a report or a response?
My name is Westcott. In regards to Ms. James, I mean, I am totally in agreement with her. Personally, I am sick. I am tired of our representative. We spoke to what's her name, Clark. She's supposed to do something. Nothing has been done. We speak to our assembly person. Nothing has been done. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I feel useless. I tried to speak to the manager there. She's inside. She would not come outside. So I just don't know what to do. If someone knows what to do, I would appreciate if they can notify me and let me know what to do. I'm sorry.
All right, thank you, Mr. Westcott. Those reports are noted and we'll try to do our best to resolve them. Seeing no other special report from board members, are there any unfinished business? Unfinished business, seeing none. Ms. Thomas, can you report on the results? Are you finished? Got it. All right, she's still counting. Any old business? Board members? Going once, going twice. No old business. Are there any new business to report to the board or to bring before the board? Hearing none, we will proceed. Ms. Thomas?
So on the matter of a renewed liquor license renewal for Abe's Liquor, 23 yeses, 1 no, the motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. Well, we have come to the end of the meeting. But before we go, I want to say have a happy holidays. Enjoy the rest of your season. Make sure you take time to rest. And again, keep Mr. Daly in your prayers. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Well, one person loud. Join. Ms. Graham? Ms. Graham, can we all, is there a second? All right, all in favor, say aye. Anyone oppose? All right, have a happy holidays. Good night, everyone.